Hello, and welcome back to Beyond the Plot podcast. On today's episode, I'm joined by the incredible Lily Crozier, whose debut novel, Vow of Eternal Night, officially hit bookstores yesterday. Lily's journey is such a special one, from building a passionate community as a bookstagrammer to stepping boldly into the world of published authorship. In our conversation, we dive into the real behind the scenes of her path, the challenges, the doubts, the unexpected moments, and the sheer determination it took to turn an idea into a finished book. Lily also takes us inside the creative process of Vow of Eternal Night, how the story came to life, the inspiration behind her characters and the world, and what this milestone means for her now that her book is finally out in the world. It's an honest, uplifting, and inspiring chat about creativity, resilience, and what happens after the dream you've been working towards actually comes true. So sit back, relax, get ready to listen to Lily's story. But before you do that, please hit the subscribe button and share with all your friends, families, colleagues, so we can keep bringing these amazing author interviews. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Hello, how are you, Lily?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm so excited to have you. I think it's great to start doing these in person. Normally I do it remotely, but I'm so lucky that I got the opportunity to have you come and do it and meet you in person. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. And
Oh.
again, so happy to be here in person.
Yeah, I think it's nice, isn't it? When I always find like nowadays people are so open to doing it remotely that that's always like the first choice. And then we forget that, oh, actually, we might live in the same city and we can, do it like this and build more of a connection.
No, I completely agree. And we live down the road from each other as well,
Yes.
as we found out.
Yes, it makes
You've got to make
all the difference. Yeah, it does. It does. So I'm really excited to have you because you've got your debut novel coming out on the 17th of March.
I do, yeah.
How are you feeling about that?
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm flitting between absolute terror and supreme excitement.
Yeah.
It's like simultaneously the most stressful and the best thing that's ever happened to me. But yeah, I'm feeling excellent about it right now.
Yeah, God, it must be. This is what I want to get to, right? Talk about your journey and talk about, you know, where your writing journey began, all the way through to obviously now about to launch your debut novel. So, do you want to give yourself a little bit of an intro to the listeners, and then we'll kind of deep dive into your personal story?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Lily Crozier. I'm the author of Vow of Eternal Night. I've kind of always been around books. Books is kind of my bread and butter. So I started as a bookseller when I was in uni. Then I did a Masters of Publishing. I worked in Penguin for about 4 years, first as a book publicist, then a book marketer. And now I am an author. So books have just always been around.
And it must be exciting now, like you're having that passion and love for books, and then to obviously now be part of that author community where you're going to be able to see your book in bookstores and like just being on these book tours and working with other authors. So
yeah, completely, and so cool to see all sides of it as well.
Yeah.
So it's being a reader and having done the review side of things as well through Bookstagram, and then suddenly now having that new perspective. I'm finding it really fascinating as a process.
Yeah, it's great. So I mean, your life seems like it's just been all around books, obviously from your uni degree and then working in publishing as well. Where did it kind of stem from? What did that look like for you? Were you always a writer, like when you were in school, or did that develop later in life?
Yeah, it was from childhood. So my grandmother and my dad are both, actually everyone in my family are big readers.
Wow, yeah.
But my grandmother and my dad were both book collectors.
Yeah.
And so when I say we, I'm an identical twin. So often when I talk about my childhood, I'll say we, and I mean my sister. So you might notice me doing that. But like we grew up surrounded like by books.
Yes.
And so from a very young age, we started reading and like got really into books. And I think I was like 7 years old when I decided I was going to be a writer.
Wow.
And back then I used to say I'd write a book and I'd be an illustrator too. The illustrator thing will never happen. I've got my brother to do that for me. But I started reading at a very young age.
Yeah.
Was like read a lot up until high school, and then had a few years where I was writing but not reading. And so I was mostly reading manga, and I decided that my life would be about Japanese.
Yes.
Because that's what you do when you're 15.
Yeah.
And so like I knew in my heart I wanted to go into publishing and I still wanted to be an author, but I wasn't getting good grades in English. And so I was
Okay.
like, it's not possible for me. I love Japanese language.
Yeah.
Let's become a diplomat. And so over the next like the dream would have been to translate books, but
Yeah.
again, I didn't think my like English literacy was anything to
Mhm.
like pursue. So I for uni for undergrad, I did Asia Pacific Studies, and
Yeah.
I really like locked in on Japan. And at the end of that degree, my sister bought me the Captive Prince trilogy, and that
Mhm.
just got me straight back into English books in a
Yeah.
huge way. And so that was when I really started to take writing a bit more seriously. I was working at QBD. I was
Oh, yeah.
like giving my best shot at being an author.
Yeah.
I wrote this book and then read it back and went, oh, it's really bad.
No.
So I decided to take the Masters of Publishing and then
Yeah.
went into books that way.
Wow.
And yeah, it's all been books from there.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Like I always find that like these stories are fascinating because so many people doubt themselves, and I think it's like a perception that the world has, that we have to go down a certain route to become like an author, and we have to be really good at everything to do with that. And it's so fascinating that like nearly all the authors I've spoken to have self-doubt along the way, but then their path has always led them back to doing what they wanted to do, whether that's earlier on or later on in life. So I think that's, if you've got it embedded in you, you're eventually going to get to that point.
I think so. And I think part of that comes to the fact that as authors, we don't share the messy bits and we don't
Yeah.
share the hard bits. And
Mhm.
I'm aware of that in myself, that I will never share the bits where it's terrible.
Yes.
Because it is mostly amazing, but there's always terrible things and even the
Yeah.
most amazing things in life.
Yeah.
And so from an outside perspective, you sort of just look at the good bits and you say, oh, this person has succeeded all the way along. And
Mhm.
so you never see the other side.
Yeah.
And that's something always to keep in mind, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So when did you start thinking, okay, I want to take this seriously? Because obviously you've been working in publishing. Had you like Had you tried to write several novels, or did you do any courses? What did that look like for you?
So I had mostly just been writing and
Yeah.
was attempting to write many novels. So I had finished one and then had half finished drafts of several
Yeah.
novels. And during lockdown was when I got the idea for Vow of Eternal Night. And so
Yeah.
I wasn't working at the time because I was working in book selling. And so there was
Mhm.
work for me when we were in lockdown.
Yeah.
And so then I think I wrote about 40,000 words of Vow, got a job at Penguin, and then didn't write for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And then there was a point where I went, actually, like looking at the market, I'm
Mhm.
writing this romantasy book. Writing is my passion. I do want to be an author.
Yes.
And if I'm going to publish a vampire romance,
Yes.
it's either now or in 15 years' time when
When it comes back around again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was around the end of 2023, it must have been, where I went, I have to do this now.
Yeah.
And so for the next few months over that, between, I think it was around October 2023
Mhm.
to Easter 2024, I just went really ham on finishing this first draft.
Yeah.
And that was when I really took it seriously and was like, no, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And so what happened there? Then did you send it to someone internally and be like, hey, can you read this for me and let me know like your thoughts? Or yes.
Sort of. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to rely on working at Penguin to get a book deal. And I'd spoken to another author years before that who had done the same thing. She worked at a different big publisher. She
Yeah.
published through there. And she said, never, never publish in the same house that you're working in. And I'm like, oh, okay. So my plan at that stage was to get an agent. And then if they sent me to Penguin, then
Yeah.
they would send me to Penguin, and that would be fate, and that would happen.
Yeah.
But take it out of my hands. But what I ended up doing instead, so I'm I'm chronically online, I suppose. I use a lot of TikTok.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
one book talker. He writes children's books. His name's Bill Wood. And
Yeah.
I was following him while he was not yet an author.
Mhm.
And he posted this video he was about to start the querying process. And
Yeah.
so it was like he was outlining his book he'd just written. He talked a little bit about it and said, I'm going to start querying and I'll bring you along this process. And a week later, he posted another video saying, I am actually not going to query this book because I posted this video and Scholastic reached out.
Oh,
So
amazing.
now I'm announcing my book deal with Scholastic. And so
Wow.
I watched that and went, I'm going to do that. And so it was more just a practice for me of talking about my book. And part of me thought like maybe an agent would watch that.
Yeah.
And so I made this video and I posted it. And then after I posted it, I kind of clocked that actually, because I work at Penguin, I have an above average number of people who work at Penguin who follow me.
Yes.
So I watched on TikTok, you can see if somebody's shared your post.
Yeah.
You can't see who. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I watched the share button tick up to 1, and then the publishing director of Penguin followed me, and I'm like, oh, okay. And so she messaged me and said, when you're ready, send it to us.
Yeah.
But it was another 5 months before I sent it. I decided I was going to, if I was going to send direct to Penguin, I was not going to squander the chance.
Yeah.
And so I spent 5 months working on it. I went to Austria. I sent it to my sister to beta read. And so I was like, when I sent it to Penguin, it was like, to me, it was a practice for rejection to get professional feedback and then take that to an agent.
Yeah.
It ended up being a yes instead.
Well, that's like that good.
Yeah, it was certainly a relief.
Yeah, because I mean, so taking you in total, I mean, because you put it aside for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say in total? It took you like what, 3-4 years to write?
I would still call it 4 years.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't actively writing, I was still thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think the thinking is a huge part of writing.
Yes.
So there was a lot of like the way the book was going at the start and where it ended up with those 2 years of life experience and thinking about that book and thinking about the characters did still shape it.
Yeah.
So while I wasn't actively putting pen to paper, I still was writing it effectively.
Yeah. I bet they're like, well, it can't take you 4 years to write the next one.
No, they've certainly not given me 4 years.
So yeah, I mean, God, that's a great tactic, actually. Anyone who's got a debut novel coming out or thinking about doing it, get on there. If you've got a big following, those as well.
Well, it's even just practice talking about it. So if you do plan ahead and you do know that you want to publish a novel, I think by all means start talking about books. It's practice.
Yeah, and I mean, you must find this that like publishers are always looking for the next author, and social media is a great way to do that, right? Because it's maybe you haven't come across someone, maybe they aren't querying at the moment, maybe they're just talking to like their followers about like their interest or what they're writing, and it could be the next, amazing kind of #1 bestseller, right? That comes out, and there is a real, like you just said, that's actually really interesting about the trends and how we go through that full cycle, but it can take like another 15 years to get there, because we are seeing more around the vampire kind of genre at the moment, aren't we? And more coming out. I mean, how did it feel writing a novel like that?
It was I didn't try to focus on it too much. I knew from the day I read Twilight that one day I would write a vampire book. And so that was 15 years ago, the last time the vampire trend happened. And so it was more a matter of always knowing I would write a vampire romance. And when I suddenly sensed that actually it was now or never, like it was it just felt like serendipity. And if it hadn't worked out, like if I'd sent it to Penguin and they'd gone, we think romanticy's over, which it's not, and they certainly didn't say that. I think I would have just written something else. And it was, it didn't bother me too much. I wasn't writing to trend. It was just that the trend happened to happen at the same time I was writing.
And I honestly, and all the authors that I've spoken to have said, if you write to follow a trend, the time your book is even ready to be queried, that trend is gone again. So you need to write passionately about what you love, because then you're doing it for a passion and a purpose for yourself versus trying to just get your book out there. And
and because publishing timelines are ridiculous for an outsider. So if you're writing for trend and it takes you 2 years to write a book, and that's trendy then, and then you sell it to a publisher and then it's another 2 years before you sell, it's a 4-year process, and suddenly people are reading about fairies now. And so you've got to you can't write to trend, you just have to write.
That's so interesting and so true. I'm behind on some of the I'm always thinking like, what is the next trend that's going to be out there? But you just never. I don't know. You probably know because you're in the publishing industry. But it's so interesting to see how it comes full circle again. And it's like, I was reading that like years ago, or watching, like you said. I mean, Twilight, and you've got the Vampire Diaries, and you've got all those ones as well. So, yeah, I mean, I watched those growing up, so it's crazy to think that we're now back in that era again. It's like
Yeah.
nostalgic for me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
And we're
yeah,
seeing it at the moment with coloring books. When
yeah,
coloring books first became a trend, everyone went, where did this happen? This isn't going
yeah,
to happen again. And then when it happened again, everyone went, how is this happening again? And
yeah.
yeah, it just, that's the nature of
Yeah,
things.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's so true. So, from you doing that kind of Instagram post or story to, Penguin reaching out to you to be like, "Hey, send it to us when you're ready." You sent it 5 months later. You got a yes.
Mm.
What did it look like from then?
It was quite calm. Oh, well, I wasn't calm. So the yes process was actually about a month of a lead up. So
Yeah,
it started off with a meeting with my publisher, and then she took it through the acquisitions process. And so this is a process in publishing where
yeah,
publishing has to convince the rest of the publishing team, and then they have to convince the rest of the company. And so
yeah,
that's quite drawn out. And
yeah.
I didn't see any of that. And they actually in Penguin, they do send around memos from that, and they redacted all the information, so no one knew about it.
Okay.
And so that was interesting,
Yeah,
being in the middle of it, and yet knowing that this was this like secret, and I only knew as much as any other
yeah.
author would.
Mhm.
And then it was all finalized around October, and I was so excited about it. And you can
Yeah,
sort of see there's this like gap in my content where I was posting really regularly.
yeah,
There was I think that a new book came out in one of my favorite series, and
yeah.
so I was posting about that and was like, I'm going to do a read through, and then there's silence. And then I didn't announce until June that following year. So I had to
Wow.
keep this a secret for about 8 months.
Yeah,
And I think my content around that time became a little unhinged.
yeah,
And I don't know if anyone ever clocked it.
yeah,
But once it was finally out there, it was such a relief to
yeah.
announce. Yeah.
Amazing. And then again, a longer journey to it actually coming out on,
Yeah.
like, obviously on the 17th.
Completely, yeah, and that's all of the editorial process. So
Yeah,
you go through three main rounds of edits. There's the structural edit, your line edit, and then the proofread.
yeah,
And these take varying lengths of time. And so through that time, I was kind of working behind the scenes, and
yeah,
nobody really knew what I was doing at any
yeah.
given point in time. And then at one point, and then it was around October last year, September, October,
Mhm.
we sold the US rights to Entangled.
Amazing.
And so that also shifted the editorial process a little bit. That was when we announced the sprayed edges. And so it was also just an extra level of excitement. And
Yeah.
um, they made the process a bit different from what we were all expecting.
Yes.
And it's been a fantastic journey.
And God, how exciting. I mean, when you got told it was going to be published in America as well, like that's just another level, right? Because the market over there is huge.
Completely,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and they work in a very different way to in Australia, just in
Okay.
terms of, it's very subtle nuances that I think
Yeah.
most people, like, it would be very hard to explain, but
Yeah.
it's fascinating seeing how they work and what the process looks like on their end,
Yeah.
and really interesting from an author perspective, but also just from a professional perspective.
Yeah. Will it be like, so what happens then? Obviously, you're not, I take it you're not going over there to do a book tour.
Not at the
Not,
moment, no.
well, maybe.
Only if they send me.
Please send me. Yeah. um, so in terms of like marketing then, because obviously you've got, and we'll talk about this in a moment, you've got your book fest happening here.
Mm.
But in America then, so it just gets released to all the kind of major bookstores, and they manage the marketing that way.
Yeah, so I don't exactly know what the whole process will look like on my end.
Yeah.
So they're releasing in August, so it's a
Yeah.
bit further ahead than
Yeah.
the Australian release. So I've just been focusing on Australia first, and
Yeah.
then when we go to US and Canada, I'll switch to that mode.
Yeah.
So at the moment, they're doing the retailer conversations, which we call sell-in,
Yeah.
and so that's where we are in the process right
Hmm.
now. And then I will definitely be posting on social media about it. I know
Yeah.
that they will be doing the same. And then, yeah, who knows? The world is my
I
oyster. We'll see
know.
how it goes.
I honestly feel, because I mean, you think about the movies that came out and the TV series that came out. I think with all these books now, we're definitely going to see like another vampire movie come out, or
I hope so.
yeah, or a series. It's going to come back because I feel like the generation today needs to see it. Like, because everyone has, I don't know, it's crazy. We fall in love with like these vampires, and but it's so magical. Like, I don't know, it's crazy, isn't it? To be like, oh, you can be attracted to don't know what you call them. Like, I mean, they're non-human, right? Like, but yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So I think we watch this space.
Yeah, watch
Yeah.
if you want a Gothic vampire romance TV series, you know, hit me up.
And then, so before we step into kind of a bit more about your book, just interested about your kind of Bookstagram and like account and how you set that up and how, I mean, obviously it played a role in you becoming published. So what did that look like for you?
Yeah, it was, I've always had in mind, like I said, I've always had in mind I would be an author.
Yeah.
And so I've always had in mind that I needed to have a platform to promote my book at some stage.
Yes.
And this wasn't just a business decision. Like
Yeah.
I did it out of passion as well. And I did genuinely want to talk about books. And so I started a Bookstagram in about 2017.
Yeah.
And I didn't do much with it. I posted a few flat lays.
Yeah.
I followed a lot of Bookstagram accounts, and I never quite got into my swing with it.
Yes.
And then BookTok happened, and so
Yes.
at that point, my main platform was Tumblr, and it wasn't a book Tumblr, and I will never share what Tumblr was. But it was I basically took the kinds of like humor and post style that I was taking, doing on Tumblr,
Yeah.
and I kind of brought that to BookTok. And so my early BookTok content was very experimental and very like not quite the same as what was on BookTok. That's not me saying like I'm not like the other girls. It was just a little bit different.
Yes.
And that had a little bit of traction. And so it was just it was just a bit of fun at first.
Yeah.
And as an extra like thing to learn about the industry, because I started it when I was an intern, and so I decided that actually I would use this as an asset for my career, both as an author, as a publisher, and because it was fun and I wanted to talk about books. And it took off from there. So in late 2021, there were 2 videos I posted back to back that both got quite a lot of views, and that sort of took me to that 10K mark, and then I would go, okay, I'm onto something here.
Yeah.
And so it's always just been a bit of fun, and now it's turned into a really valuable asset.
Yeah. What do you think those videos had that then took you to that next level?
I think that was it's really hard to know.
Yeah.
I've always tried to lean on recommendations as like my content pillar. And I try to incorporate books that aren't always like considered BookTok books. So I'll read a mix. And like I do love your cookie cutter BookTok books as well.
Yeah.
And so I try to offer that extra like level of difference, I guess. Like if somebody is watching a video and like they love Diabound, for example, that's probably not a good example because I don't think I've posted about Diabound for a very long time. Like they can watch that and say, okay, well, like that's a popular book that I know I liked.
Yeah.
That's a book I've never heard of that I may like. And so that's a point of interest for me. And I also talk about video games, and I think that's also a point of difference that brings a lot of male viewers across as well. And TikTok is mostly women, but I have a bit more of a male skewed audience. And I think that also has changed things for me.
Yeah, nice. And are you still doing it today, like, or are you taken a step back a bit?
I love to think that I'm doing it at the moment, but I realistically I'm posting once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot. But I would love to be posting more. I just at the moment I don't really have time.
Yeah.
But certainly once Vow is out, I will be posting my book recommendations.
Yes.
Again, like I used to.
It's tough though, isn't it? Like finding time to read and do your day job, and now having like all the marketing and everything that's going on to you launching, and then obviously you're doing you know, you're going out and doing these book fests and stuff. So that's like added another element to
completely. And that's why I'm a bit more active on Instagram at the moment, because you can just post an image and go, okay, content's done. And then I look at my BookTok account, which I've neglected sorely, and I'm like, okay, we'll film some content tonight.
Yeah. I mean, how much time are you spending doing that? Like, was it quite a lengthy process?
Yeah, as in terms of like the timelines, or just
like just content and stuff.
Yeah, it used to be that I would come home from work and I would probably spend an hour doing content after work, and I've had to pull back because writing took a priority. And so I think of it as it's either a content day or a writing day.
Yeah.
And in the last couple of weeks, it's all been content because it's all about promoting this book, sorry. But there will be days where I'm like, no, actually, I want to be writing right now.
Yeah.
And so that's when I'll be working on the next book. And neglecting the marketing, but
Yeah.
you do what you have time for.
But the marketing for you next will be people actually posting pictures of your book. So that's like just reshare.
Completely, yeah. And we're starting to see it at the moment, which is so exciting.
Yeah.
Every time someone tags me in their posts, I tend to get in my head about it. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm allowed to like it or not.
Because obviously people get advanced reader copies. They're called ARCs. But like, what's been the feedback from some of those?
I deliberately don't seek it out.
Yeah, that's good.
So I only see what people tag me in.
Yeah.
And they are like, I think I even made a video about it saying, you're welcome to tag me in 5-star reviews.
Yes.
If you do like want to make a like negative review, don't tag me, and I'll leave it to you. Reviews are for readers.
Yeah.
And so to me, I'm in this little echo circle where it's always 5 stars. Everybody loves my book. And that's all I need at the moment.
Yeah.
And it won't be for everyone. No book is for everyone.
No.
But right now it's all positivity and excitement, and that's been really nice.
Yeah. And I think, as I was saying the other day to someone else, I was like, unfortunately, there are people in the world who they have to just express their feelings, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
I think there's a certain way that you can do it. Some people are very harsh, but I just think authors and what they've shared with me is that you do have to develop a thick skin, but the best thing to do is just don't read them.
Yes.
Because then it won't ruin your day.
Yeah.
But also understand that, it's not going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
And as long as the people who are reading it, who are enjoying it, you're going to start getting a following, right? And they're going to be your readers who then buy your next book and your next book and your next book. And they're going to become kind of your group, your tribe who, will champion your book and share and spread the news and recommend to their friends and family. And I think if you can just tap into that positivity and that side of it, the other side is just, there's always going to be people out there who have something negative to say. I think that's just the world we live in, no matter what industry you're in. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, completely. And posting on gaming TikTok as well has prepped me for that.
Yes. The harsh critics.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The book internet is so wholesome. And then the gaming internet is like,
Yeah.
thick skin. You're going to develop thick skin.
Yeah. Well, because like you were saying, a lot of it is male, right? And I think men don't hold back, do they?
They don't.
No, different breed to us altogether. Yeah. But that's great though. And then, in terms of if you think about some of the challenges that you've faced, whether it was early on in your career, where do you think some of those challenges may have come from?
In terms of the writing side, or
I think for role writing or putting yourself out there, anything that you can look back and be like, look, that was a bit of a challenge, but I overcome it, and actually I might do it differently. I might do it this way next time.
Yeah, it's probably mostly my own insecurity. I think I grapple with anxiety a lot, and I have a lot of I guess difficulty objectively looking at my work positively, and whether that's in terms of video content or my writing or anything like that. And so I think the biggest thing would be I suppose if I were to advise my past self, it would be to grapple it with confidence and not overthink it too much.
Yeah.
But I am actually really even the challenging parts of my career, I probably wouldn't do them that differently just in terms of every mistake is a lesson learned.
Yeah.
And especially with video content, when you're building social media following, it's about experimenting and just posting imperfectly and getting used to just there's no success or failure.
No.
Success is that you've posted a video.
Yes.
I think taking that mindset on board with writing as well was a huge thing that helped me along.
Just putting yourself out there, basically.
Putting yourself out there and not being too precious about any one scene or character or sentence, or being prepared to edit objectively for an audience.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. I love that. Is there anything that any advice that you would want to give to someone else who's maybe thinking about querying or even starting their writing journey? Is any advice that you would give them outside of that?
It's this is annoying advice to receive, and it's just to start, and just to do it and to do it badly. Because only by doing it badly can you learn to do it well. And I think that applies to a lot of things. And over planning is kind of the the death of a good idea.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, do it, but also be objective about whether or not something is interesting to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that when I realized that, it completely changed my writing and my content creation.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, because I always think like some people say, oh, it needs to be perfect, and they get so focused on like, I've got to have it all, I've got to have it ready as if I was then having it published and put onto shelves. But actually, like you said, it goes through multiple edits,
So many edits.
like before it even gets to that point. So you just got to have it to a point where it's good enough for a publisher to be like, hey, that's an interesting story, or hey, that's some really good writing that interests me. Let's see what we can do with it.
Yes, completely. And when you're on that drafting phase, you can't be perfect on the sentence level,
No.
because if you then go back and edit and you change one sentence in chapter 1, you're going to have to change about 400 sentences throughout the book.
Yeah.
And so it's yeah, by not being too precious at the early phases,
Yeah.
you come a long, long way.
Yeah, it's so true. So true. So let's talk about your book.
Yes.
So do you want to give kind of a bit of a synopsis for those of listeners who maybe haven't heard of it or are interested in going out and buying it, to get them a little bit intrigued?
Yeah, so Vow of Eternal Night, it's a Gothic romantasy Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's about Clara, who is the daughter of a mayor of a provincial town in a principality called Rostenburg, and she's forcibly engaged to the vampire prince of the principality. And so when he kind of senses that she's not really on board, he offers her an ultimatum, which is to cure him of his vampirism before the end of the year or be his bride for eternity.
Wow.
That's
That's got me intrigued now. What way's she going to go?
Yeah.
And how, when you were kind of creating this story, where did you get the inspiration from?
So the inspiration came from, it was multiple aspects. I'd always, I mean, as I mentioned before, I love a vampire romance. And I'd always wanted a vampire romance that had the vibes of Dracula, like that kind of like Gothic castles, flowing nightgowns, that sort of thing. But I'd only ever found it in horror novels. And so vampire romance, we either had modern paranormal, or we had romantasy, which is set in a different world and didn't have all of the like vampire lore that I grew up with and that you see in all of like Hammer horror and all of the Dracula retellings. And so I looked for that for many, many years. And it was when I was lamenting the fact that I couldn't find it to my sister that I sort of sat there and went, hang on, I can write this. I will write this. And so, yeah, it grew from that. My original like idea was Beauty and the Beast retelling with a Dracula-style protagonist.
Love that.
Who is an evil vampire and remains an evil vampire. And I probably made it 2 chapters in before I went, he can't stay evil. Like there's a reason why vampires aren't evil in vampire romances. And that was basically that if he remained evil, Clara had to be a pretty terrible person. And so then when I clocked that, I had to delve into his character and work out why he's evil at the start, what makes him not evil, and how we get to that process of her learning to love him when they start in the truly the worst possible way a relationship could start.
Because so much to think about, isn't it? Did you come up with his kind of character first and then hers, or what did that look like for you?
It was actually Clara first, but it was both of them at the same time. I kind of, the very first thing I came up with was Clara and her name for some reason. I just always wanted to have a character called Clara.
Great name.
And then it was about, I actually think I came up with the village next, and the setting, and then Riley came in. And so a lot of the plotting from that point was me developing Clara and Riley's relationship and what that would look like. And in that, their characters developed from there as well. So it was a matter of making the relationship believable and realistic, and then also making them separate characters who could stand and live on their own way, so that they weren't just parts of one another, they were separate characters.
And if you were to kind of have inspiration of who they would be in terms of like, if it was in a movie or if you were to choose like a celebrity, have you got images in your mind of like who they would be played by?
I actually do, and it's one of those things that I've always wondered if I can say it. I know, sorry, I'm just having a little drink. There was an interview with Emily Henry where she said that she'd been advised to not tell people just in case there was ever an adaptation, but I'm realistic about that or not. interpretation. Um, I've always no, I didn't initially imagine them as actors,
Yeah.
but then I saw Renfield, the movie,
Yes.
and when I was watching that, I went, "Oh, that's Raleigh." So now I picture Nicholas Hoult as Raleigh,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was who I sent to the
He would be good.
he would be a
Yeah,
great
he's a great
Raleigh.
actor. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and his character in The Crown, I think,
Yeah.
has notes of Raleigh in it, so
Yeah. Yeah, it shows that he can play multiple kind of like roles, and yeah, he can play that villain, but also he can play the softer romantic person as
yeah,
well.
completely. And then for Clara, I didn't have a face in mind for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And it was about the week before I briefed the cover artist that I watched The Crown and went, "Oh, that's Clara." And so when I sent the notes away to the like cover designer or the cover artist,
Yeah.
I said for like face references, do Nicholas Hoult for
Yes.
Riley and Claire Foy for Clara.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's
She's great as
yeah,
well. Yeah, I love The Crown.
completely.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I imagine. But it's I mean, if there was ever an adaptation, I'd be open to many options.
Yes, yes, yeah. Please put it out in the world, in the
Yes.
universe. And I mean, the cover's amazing. I haven't seen a physical copy just yet, but obviously I've been following you on Instagram. And how much input did you have in the cover?
It was I have no idea what input other authors have, so I don't know if I had a lot of input
Yeah.
or not much input. And I think I was somewhere in the middle. So
Yeah.
at the very start of the publishing process, I sent 2 folders of inspiration to my publisher
Wow.
and went kind of with this genre, you could go either way. This is like the
Yeah.
more illustrative style, which I was leaning on like paper cutout kind of style
Yes.
images that were a bit more literary leaning,
Yeah.
but aren't necessarily commercial at the moment.
Yeah.
And then there was also the illustrated covers, which we ended up going with.
Hmm.
And I think in Australia, a lot of those tend to be YA. So even from the start, Chris was like, "Yeah, I think we'll probably go for more of the other
Yes.
style." And I was like, hinting to people around the office that I wanted characters on my cover, but I was happy for Penguin to take
Yeah.
the lead on the cover,
Hmm.
and I didn't mind either way.
Yeah.
So when Chris did come back to me and said, "We're interested in doing the characters, like what would you put into a brief?" And so the main thing I was really set on
Hmm.
was that red had to be in the cover at some level,
Yes. Yeah.
and that the characters had to be facing each other and looking at each other.
Yes. Yeah.
Because a lot of those illustrated romantasy covers, it's almost like the reverse, like 80s pinup movie cover posters. You've got
Yeah.
the powerful woman in the foreground, and then
Yeah.
like kind of wet-looking man in the background with like rippling muscles who
Yes.
and a soft expression, and she's not looking anywhere at him. And
Yeah.
that's like a fine. It's often like a great cover
Mhm.
direction, but with Clara and Raleigh, it's a huge part of their relationship that they end up as equals at the end. And
Yes.
so I didn't want a cover that made Raleigh look like an object.
Yeah.
And that's really important to his character. And I
Mhm.
won't get into spoiling you,
Yes.
the listener.
Yeah.
And so that was the point I was really firm on. And everything else, like I did send back notes to the artists throughout it. It's
Yeah.
Emmy Morgan's the artist, and they did such an amazing job.
Yeah.
But the one point I was really firm on was that they had to look at each other.
Yeah.
And that was everything else I kind of let Penguin do.
Yeah. Yeah. And it looks like a great cover. And I think it's one of those ones that you instantly can look at and you know kind of like what it's going to be about. Obviously not the full story, but you know, okay, this is obviously with the 2 characters on there, it's going to have some probably kind of romanticized part or element to it. But then also with the colors, it does speak that kind of vampire or that dark kind of era, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, completely. It's perfect. It is exactly what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And so you've got a book fest coming up, right? Where you're touring. It's Brisbane, Sydney, Adelaide, and Melbourne?
Yeah, we're done.
Okay. And where are you kicking off? I think I saw, is it Brisbane you're kicking off
Brisbane,
first?
yeah.
On the 19th?
Yes.
I think so, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's the 19th because I'm pretty sure in Sydney's the 21st I was reading.
Yes.
And what does that look like? Because you're touring with 3 other authors as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Penguin Fantasy Fest, and this is, I think, our 3rd or 4th year doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very excited to be part of the lineup.
Yeah.
I did it last year as well
Okay.
by
Yeah.
pure luck, I suppose. Lynette Noni was supposed to come and ended up being sick.
Yeah.
And so there was this moment of, I suppose, panic in the Penguin office where everyone was like, what are we going to do? And they sort of turned to the author in the office and went, what do you think? And so it's really exciting this year to be able
Yeah.
to go with the book out and
Yeah.
know that people will have read it at that stage, or
Yeah.
haven't read it yet because it's very soon after release.
Yes.
They'll at least be able to buy it and they'll be able to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Bronte Marie, I know quite well at this
Yeah.
stage, and so it's really exciting to think I'll be able to travel with her.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to meet Brady and Stacey in real life as well.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be so much fun, and I'm so excited to meet everyone as well.
Yeah, it'll be so, I mean, it looks amazing. So in terms of what you do then, so you go to Brisbane, is it like, are you just going to one, is it like one event that happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then people are coming to see you all and you have, is it like you talk about kind of your writing and the books and then they get to meet and greet you?
Yeah, it'll be like it's a panel interview to start with.
Yep.
So it'll be the four of us on stage. Four of us on stage? Yeah. Four? Yeah, four of us. And then our interviewer will be Adelaide Jensen
Yeah.
who also works at Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the sessions, what we do is the authors will come off stage and they'll do a presentation about what's coming up at Penguin, and
Yeah.
they sometimes do some little publishing insights. And last year we did our cover reveals for Bronte Marie and myself. We did our cover reveals
Amazing.
there, and
Yeah.
it's very like it's a fun night.
Yeah.
Get a little bit of an insight into what things are like
Yeah.
in fantasy publishing, and then afterwards we have a signing and we'll get to meet everyone.
Lovely.
It'll be great.
And where are you doing it in Sydney?
I believe it's Balmain Town Hall.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
location.
It is, yeah, and I think they're getting quite excited about how they're gonna decorate the stage and
Oh,
things. We'll have a calligrapher on site this
oh,
year as well.
amazing.
It's just for the Sydney one, but she'll do little, like, calligraphy commissions.
That's cool.
Really fun,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, it'll be so good. And what like a it's like because it's like literally what 2 days after the release of your book. So it's like what a way to kick it off.
It's a dream. As a debut author, it's what you fantasize
Yes.
about when you're a kid.
Yeah.
It's so exciting.
Yeah. Are you gonna go like are you gonna what bookstore are you gonna go into and like see your book in first?
It's hard to know. So I have, before Fantasy Fest in Brisbane, I
Yeah.
got the Gold Coast the day before.
Wow.
So I have this one day where my book will be out in the world and I'll be in Sydney.
Yeah.
And because I've been a bookseller in the past, I know that the deliveries don't happen right at 9 a.m. And so
Yes.
if I do go to a bookstore on release day, there is every chance it's not on the shelf yet.
Yeah.
And so I think I will do the little circuit of in the Sydney City where you do like
Yes.
Dimix George, Kinokuniya, and
Yes.
Abby's, and I'll probably visit all three and take
Yeah.
a sneaky look.
Yeah.
But I should probably talk to my publicist about that and get permission to sign if I do.
Yeah. Get in there and be like,
Yeah.
what you should do is like start hiding them around like different locations and then do like a hey, here's some hints, like see who first gets to, find my book, etc.
Yeah, people do
Yeah,
that.
they do, yeah.
Fun.
It is quite fun, yeah. So in terms of where people can find you then, so you're on Instagram. What's your name on Instagram?
For both Instagram and TikTok, it's Lily Can't Stop Reading. And the reason I chose that was because when I was starting my platforms, I sort of it was particularly TikTok. I think I had something a lot more normal on Instagram.
Yeah.
But on TikTok, I went, well, I can't think of anything. I'm just going to put this. It's cringe, but no one's going to see it. And I'll think of something better and then I'll change it. And I've
Never changed it.
Never changed it. Never thought of anything better. And it's reached a point now where I'm like, everyone's seen it. I'm just
I think if you
going
changed
along
it,
with it.
the thing is, if you changed it now, people would be like, "Who's that I'm following?" And then they'd have to click in and obviously see who it is. But then people could still find you by putting your name into the search bar, and then it comes up. I think, and then you can just click on that one.
Yeah.
Have you got a website yet?
I do actually,
Oh,
as
nice.
of last week. It's just lilycrozier.com.
Yeah, brilliant. And then that's just going to have a bit about you, your book, your latest novel, and then events that are happening, etc.
Yeah, all events, the gift with purchases as well. So
Yeah.
there's like different little bonuses if you go to different
Nice.
retailers. And so I'm trying to update that as the information comes through.
Yeah.
And that's like my new kind of hub.
Yeah.
Just because my link tree was getting a bit clustered.
Yes, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, and then you can filter everything through there. You do an update, don't you? And then it springs to the other platforms.
Yes.
And then what's next for you? Obviously, I know you've got a lot on at the moment, but have you started your next book?
I have,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm about halfway through the first draft, I think.
Yeah.
And I've been saying about halfway through for the last several months.
Yeah.
But I'm at that point where every time I write, I take as many words out as I add in,
Yes.
so it remains halfway. And it's going to be quite different from Val, but it's still heavily romantic.
Yeah.
And I haven't quite worked out how to talk about it yet because there's some quite I keep thinking of the spoilers right away, and I'm trying to work out how to pitch it. But it'd be set in a totally different world, in more of
Okay.
a industrial revolution kind of setting.
Yeah.
Purely because I couldn't bring myself to write horses again, and I
Yes.
wanted to put my characters in a car.
Yes. Yes.
And so it's been really fun building a world from scratch.
Yeah.
Finally, like being able to develop the history
Yeah.
and how like these countries interact with each other,
Yeah.
which I wasn't really able to do with Val because
Yeah.
it was just a different kind of story. And I'm having a lot of fun writing it. And when I think about what the reaction will be to certain things that happen in it, I get very excited. It's very hard not to talk about it.
So they know you're writing your second, and they're like, when is it going to be ready?
I haven't spoken to many people about it yet.
Yeah.
I've like casually talked about it at Penguin.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Entangled yet, and so it's just a bit of this sort of simmering little secret.
Yeah.
That's not really a secret.
Yeah. 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 I love that. I love that. Well, book is out now, so everyone head to your local bookstore. Obviously, if you've bought tickets to the Penguin Book Fest, then that's in Brisbane, Sydney, Adelaide, and Melbourne. Or you can head to Lily's website to get more details and everything.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I've loved having you on. Thank you so much for coming and being in person. It's been great, and I'm wishing you all the best and all the success.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Oh,
It's been a
anytime.
lovely chat.